What is up, everybody? Eric here from Soundcast Studios. Today we're taking a look at HRK's CS566 channel strip, which is a 500 series module with a ton of versatility. Full disclosure, HRK sent me this unit for free, but any opinion is entirely my own. If you plan to use this for bus compression, the compressor section of the unit can be linked in stereo with the included stereo link cable, which is really cool. In an effort to really get a feel for the unit, I decided to mix an entire session using only the CS566. Here I have tracks from an old live session I did, and I mixed it using only the CS566. I will let you take a listen to the before and after, and then we will go into a little bit more detail with each track. You will notice that the mixed version is louder than the unmixed version, but that's because of the amount of compression I used on individual tracks and on the stereo bus, because it is currently running on the stereo bus.
Don't you know it's a funny thing, waiting for your love? You were come and already gone, but never said a word.
I don't know about you, but I personally feel like I got a pretty good mix using just the module. I didn't use any reverb or spatial effects like that. It was literally just the compression, EQ, and saturation of the module, and I really like how it came out. A couple of things to note. For example, the way it handled the vocals with the amount of compression I had going on, I feel like it handled it incredibly well. Let me bring this up a little higher. Here you can see the unprocessed version on top with the processed version on the bottom. It evened it out significantly. This peak right here evened out. A big one that you can tell is right here. The unprocessed version, this signal is so low. But when I added the compression, it brought it up a significant amount and it sounds really, really good. So I'm going to play this little section before and after, and you can definitely feel that the compression really brought out that section right there. So here I'm going to play it unmixed, and then I'll play it mixed.
Don't you know it's a funny thing? Don't you know it's a funny thing?
It just really brought out that section and made it significantly more audible and gave it more punch to it. That was one of my biggest things that I noticed. The EQ was very useful for the vocals. Another big thing also, it handled the bass incredibly well. You can see there's a ton of peaks here, right here. And on the processed version, that peak is gone. It really evened out the bass and gave it a lot more presence in the mix. And on drums, I mostly used it as a saturator. I did compression on the overheads, but the kick and snare I did not compress. I used mostly just saturation. Overall, I'm really happy with this unit. The price to performance ratio is crazy. Compression, EQ, saturation, that's literally 80% of what I'm doing in a mix anyways. And to have it all in one single 500 series unit is insane. A couple of gripes that I do have with the unit, however, is that I wish the input and output knobs were dented at 0. That's just kind of a quality of life thing, so I know that it's at 0. It's not a big deal. I can eyeball it, and I'd probably be fine. It wouldn't make a significant difference in the application of it, but it would be nice to have. The EQ portion is not dented, but I don't really mind that one that much, since I can just easily take the EQ out of the chain, and it doesn't matter if it's at 0 or not, it's just out of the chain. And I don't have to worry about if I'm adding or subtracting any EQ, that's not a big gripe for that. But for the input and output knob, it would have been nice to have dented at 0 decibels. Another gripe that is kind of a personal thing is that I wish the saturation on it could get dirtier. I'm really a fan of saturation being not subtle. This one's a lot more subtle than I would like. It reminds me more of an SSL type of saturation, which personally I'm not the biggest fan of because it's subtle. I tend to go a lot more aggressive with my saturation and would like that. But I do think it sounds great. And I think the subtlety of it will be appreciated by a lot of people. But I do wish I can get dirtier sounds out of it. The last thing that I wish the unit had, which might be a little bit controversial, is that I wish the compression section had some way to tell you that it's compressing. I totally understand that you should be compressing with your ears, and that is a totally valid argument. I do, however, like visual feedback and to know that I'm compressing. So like a little light would be nice that would just turn on when it's compressing and when it's not. So I know if I'm compressing too much or not. It's not the biggest deal because I felt like I couldn't overcompress with this section at least. Like I was pushing it pretty hard and I never felt like I was overcompressing anything. So it's very forgiving, which kind of makes up for the fact that there's no visual feedback because it's kind of hard to mess up. And if you're messing up, you would probably very audibly hear that you're overcompressing or something. But that's just a little thing that I would like. Just some visual feedback is nice. But those three little issues that I have with it, they are little quality of life kind of things. And I think the unit works incredibly well at what it's trying to do. It's just a ton of power in such a small form factor that really there's no reason not to have this unit in your studio. It works great for tracking. It works great for mixing. And I'm looking to find out how well it works for mastering. I'm going to do another video following it up with that. I'm very curious to see how it handles that application. So that is going to be the end of this video. In the comment section below, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you thought I could have done better. And I'll see you all in the next video.